Very good afternoon, students. So, we focused regarding the lead toxicity in the last class. Let us move on to the next heavy metal, that is mercury toxicity. So, this is also a toxic metal which can be seen or found in many environmental and as well as industrial area or the industrial settings. So, this mercury is going to exist in the elemental form, that is metallic form, inorganic and as well as organic forms. So, this elementary mercury is very unique, which is going to exist as a liquid, particularly at room temperature. So, this inorganic mercury can also be found as mercurous, that is He plus 1, or mercuric Hg2 plus ions, mercurous in the form of mercurous ions or in the form of mercuric ions, which are usually bound to chlorine, sulfur, or even oxygen in order to form mercurous or mercuric salts. So you can also see several common forms of organic mercury such as phenyl mercury. It can exist in the form of phenyl mercury, dimethyl mercury and even monomethyl mercury. So out of these forms, methyl mercury, that is CH3Hg plus, which can be encountered very frequently in the environment. So we can encounter only this kind of mercury, that is methyl mercury, among all these forms of the mercury most frequently in the environment. And it is formed that very predominantly when inorganic mercuric ions are going to be methylated by the microorganisms which are going to be present in the soil as well as in the water. So the humans are getting exposed to these mercury compounds via environmental exposure or even through dietary sources and even occupational in the working area, as I already told you in the last classes. So the majority of this human exposure is mainly due to the ingestion of this food contaminated with this methyl mercury, that is CH3Hg plus methyl mercury upon ingestion. So this is going to be absorbed. Methyl mercury is getting absorbed readily by the gastrointestinal tract of the humans or even in case of other mammals also. This mercuric ions which can then have an entry into the circulation, systemic circulation, which can be further delivered to the target organs. So it is very important to note that approximately 14 days of this exposure, after exposure of this methyl form of the mercury, after 14 days, a fraction of this methyl mercury is getting absorbed, which can be oxidized to form Hg2 plus, that is mercuric ions. Understanding? So this methyl mercury which is absorbed after 14 days, you can see after the exposure of this methyl mercury, fraction is getting absorbed, is further oxidized to form Hg2 plus ions. So how that kidney cells or the renal which is going to handle this mercury? Inorganic and as well as organic forms of mercury, as I told you in the last slide, which is going to be accumulated readily in the kidneys. These two forms are going to be accumulated very readily in the kidneys. So the kidneys, which is going to act as a primary site for the accumulation of this and intoxication by the inorganic forms of the mercury. So the accumulation of this He2 plus in renal tubular cells, which is going to be the which is going to be observed in the proximal tubule primarily and further occurs rapidly. Approximately 50% of the non-toxic dose which can be found in the kidneys after the few hours of exposure of this particular toxicant, that is He2 plus. So the organic forms of the mercury which first primarily affects the central nervous system and then it will show a serious toxicological effects on the kidney. It is very important to note that here one thing, within the biological systems we can see mercurous, mercuric or methyl mercuric ions which do not exist as inorganic salts or in an unbound form, free ionic state. Rather, mercuric ions are going to be bound to one or more thiol containing biomolecules, such as we have come across in case of glutathione GSH, cysteine, and in case of homocysteine and N-acetyl cysteine, that is NAC, and as well as albumin. For this Hg2 plus, this bonding mainly occurs in a linear form, that is linear 2, which covalent which coordinates with in a covalent manner, while thiol conjugated one of this methyl mercury, that is CH3Hg plus, forms the linear 1 coordinate covalent complexes. So this how this organic forms of the mercury as well as inorganic forms of the mercury which is going to be accumulated in the renal tubular cells, and it will affect the further kidney cells, that is first primarily with the central nervous system and then with the kidney cells. At the cellular, if you come across, mercuric ions are going to be appearing to gain the access to the proximal tubular cells via the mechanism which is present in the luminal and as well as basolateral plasma membranes. So they have done in vitro studies utilizing this isolated perfused proximal tubules, which suggests that a cysteine S conjugated thiol conjugated of Hg mercuric ion. This will be the conjugate form which you can see, that is cysteine S Hg S cysteine, which is the primary form of this mercuric ion, that is Hg, which is going to be transported across the luminar membrane of the proximal tubular cells. And also it indicates, and one more additional studies indicates that amino acid transporters also located in the luminal plasma membrane, which are likely to be involved in the uptake of this mercuric conjugates from the tubular lumen. And even they have hypothesized about that the since cysteine thiol mercury, which is associated with the thiol group of the cysteine, is similar in size and shape of the amino acid cysteine. Just imagine. So the same size you can make out and shape also with respect to that amino acid cysteine. They have come out with a conclusion with respect to the in vitro studies they have done on the perfused isolated proximal tubules. They have shown that particular information. So this mercuric conjugate, which may be acting as a substrate for the cysteine transporter, in this studies using this Madin Darby canine kidney disease, that is canine kidney disease, that is MDCK cells, which are going to be transfected with the sodium independent cysteine transporter system. They have used this system in order to check that this particular system, they provided a strong evidence that which implicates particularly with this carrier in the cellular uptake of the cysteine associated with this mercury, cysteine thiol group associated with this mercuric ion. And also one more similar studies they have done in order to identify that homocysteine thiol group conjugate of this mercuric ion, which is also a substrate for this system, that is MDCK transporter, transfected with a sodium independent cysteine transporter, and as well as with this furthermore they have done studies and they got evidence that in Xenopus laevis oocytes, which also suggests that cysteine group and as well as homocysteine thiol group conjugate of this methyl mercury CH3Hg plus is going to be seen. That is respectively we can see that cysteine thiol associated with this methyl mercury and homocysteine thiol associated with this methyl mercury, which are the substrates of the sodium dependent amino acid carrier system. Currently, there are no data which are going to support this particular system, role of the system, sodium independent cysteine transporter in the uptake of the cysteine thiol group Hg, that is mercuric ion, which is associated with the cysteine thiol group, and as well as homocysteine thiol group, which is associated with this mercuric ion. Approximately 40 to 60% of the mercury that which is going to be accumulated in the proximal tubular cells, which are taken up by the at the basolateral transmembrane basolateral plasma membrane, and numerous in vitro studies they have done in order to identify that the particular by using this MDCK, that is in vitro studies by using this cultured MDCK cells stably transfected with this organic anion transporter, that is OAT1 SLC22A6, which provides a strong evidence which indicates that mercuric conjugate of the cysteine and homocysteine thiol group and the NAC N-acetyl cysteine, which are taken up by this carrier, that is which carrier which was acting as a carrier sodium independent amino acid transporter system. So this has also been shown to be a transportable substrates of this OAT3, that is nothing but organic anion transporter 3, that is in this condition both OAT1 and OAT3, which is associated with this carrier, that is SLC22A6, which are localized in the basolateral plasma membrane of the proximal tubular epithelial cells. Based on the other studies, they have also found out this particular information, this 40 to 60% of the mercury which are going to be accumulated in the proximal tubular cells, which are further taken up by the basolateral plasma membrane. This was the information which they have this was the evidence which they have got when they use this particular transporter, organic anion transporter, which is done by using this cultured MDCK cells, that is transfected with this particular stably transfected with this particular cells. And it also appears that OAT1, that is organic anion transporter 1, is the primary mechanism which is involved in the basolateral transport of this cysteine thiol group of the mercuric ion, as well as N-acetyl cysteine thiol group of the mercuric and homocysteine thiol group of the mercuric ion into the proximal tubular cells. Also, they have got an evidence that in addition to this, the conjugate of this Hg2+, that is mercuric ions, cysteine and NaC, that is N-acetyl cysteine and homocysteine thiol conjugates of this methyl mercuric ion, have also been identified as a substrate of this OAT1, that is organic anion transporter 1. Collectively, these data which is going to provide a strong support for a role of this OAT1, that is organic anion transporter 1, and OAT3, organic anion transporter 3, in the basolateral uptake of the certain mercuric complexes, which was seen in the last slide, that is mercuric complexes, which was which we have seen with the formation of this linear 1 and linear 2 covalent complexes, and as well as with this N-acetyl associated with thiol group of the mercuric ion and what is that homocysteine and the cysteine thiol group of the mercuric complexes, which has been observed. Once this mercuric ion, which is going to gain access into the intracellular compartment of these cells, they are going to form the strong bonds with the protein and non-protein thiol containing biomolecules. So intracellular mercuric ions, which also stimulates and binds to the MT, and even for the GSH, that is glutathione, for binding to these biomolecules, often it prevents or reduces greatly with the export of these mercuric ions from the cell. And it is also well documented that the mercuric ions which can be extracted from the renal tubular cells further following with this particular treatment with the metal chelating agents such as 2,3 bis sulfanyl propane 1 sulfonic acid formerly known as 2,3-dimercaptopropane 1 sulfonic acid. So this what is this dimercaptopropane 1 sulfonic acids are 2,3-dimercaptosuccinic acid, that is DMSA, which is going to appear that DMPS and DMSA, which can gain access to the proximal tubular cells at the basolateral membrane via this transporter, organic transport anionic transporter 1 and organic anion transporter 3. And the sodium dependent dicarboxylate transporter NaC2, once inside the cell, it is going to be hypothesized that DMPS and DMSA, which are forming the complexes with the intracellular mercuric or even CH3Hg, and these complexes, which are further transported across the luminal membrane via MRP2 or BCR. This is also the particular transporter what we have discussed in the last slides, that is in case of while discussing with the cadmium. Interestingly, one such information which is appearing here, that is N-acetyl cysteine, which is also mediating the extraction of this mercuric ion following the exposure of the rats to this HCHG. We can also get one more information, this collective information, which provides a data that solid evidence for this hypothesis that MRP2, which plays an important role in this renal elimination of the mercuric ions with the exposure of this Hg or CHG, two forms of this mercuric ions with the which we can find with this exposure, renal elimination of the mercuric ions. This particular information was hypothesized by using this MRP2 or BCR. So what will be the renal effects of this mercuric exposure? So exposure to all forms of this mercuric ion, what we have discussed, can have an nephrotoxic effects, since the exposure to this conjugates of this Hg2+, which also leads to the most severe nephropathy. The pars recta of this proximal tubular cells, which appears to be the most sensitive for these toxic metal or the toxic effects of this mercury, and it is very first segment of the nephron affected by the exposure to the mercury compounds, that is pars recta. And pars convoluta and distal segments of this nephron are not usually affected by the exposure of this low doses of the mercuric ions, but exposure to higher doses can lead to the injury, and even you can see the necrosis in this particular segments, that is in the distal segments and in the pars convoluta. So this electron microscopic analysis also gives an information that this mercuric induced toxicological changes, which can be documented early alterations in the mitochondrial structure and in the presence of the pycnotic nuclei by the exposure of the high level doses of this mercuric ion. Approximately 6 hours after the exposure of this mercuric ion, cells starts to begin to lose the microvilli, mitochondrial swelling worsens, and further dilation of this endoplasmic reticulum can also be detected, and reductions in the enzymatic activity in the pars recta, which can also be described 12 hours after the exposure of this mercury chloride. They have done with respect to this electron microscopic analysis or the studies of these cells with the exposure of this mercury chloride after 12 hours. They have revealed that rupture of the plasma membrane and loss of the microvilli and decreased contact with the basement membranes and destructions of the cell shape they have observed. After 24 hours of this exposure of this mercury chloride, cellular fragments can also be identified in the tubular lumen, as well as junctional complexes between the cells were absent. And the nuclear structure is compromised when the tubular epithelial cells are going to be injured, and further you can see the death of this particular epithelial cells. Numerous brush border and the intracellular enzymes such as alkaline phosphatase and gamma glutamyl transferases and lactate dehydrogenase and aspartate aminotransferase, that is AST, and alanine aminotransferase, which can also be identified in the urine. They are going to be excreted in the urine. So as the extent of this mercuric induced renal injury progresses, there will be a simultaneous increase in the urinary excretion of these mercuric species. So, the exposure of this mercury chloride is very toxic, which can also have detrimental effects on the glomeruli. Chronic exposure of these rats to a non nephrotoxic dose of the mercury chloride, which also leads to tubular, interstitial, and glomerular lesions. Similarly, you can observe in case of rats which are exposed chronically to these methyl forms of the mercury, and fibrotic changes can be observed in the glomeruli, and deposits of this what is that IgG, IgM, and as well as C3 were detected along with the glomerular basement membrane. Further analysis of this exposure of this mercury chloride, they have got a data from the patients who are exposed chronically to this mercury compounds indicates that exposure to the mercury ions can also leads to the glomeruli injury and deceased, particularly with respect to this decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. All these things you can observe. Collectively, these studies which suggest that chronic exposure of this Hg2 plus ion especially, or the methyl mercury CHDHP plus, which leads to the development of membranous glomerular nephritis. It is called as membranous glomerulonephritis or glomerular nephritis. So this glomerular alterations such as fibrosis and glomerular nephritis, which can often leads to further reductions in the glomerular filtration rate. That's what I said. And it is also surprising to know that reductions in the glomerular filtration rate which can observed after the exposure to this mercury compounds. So it is a very serious thing which we can see here, effects of the mercury or the exposure of this mercury on the kidney, which leads to chronic kidney disease. Although we have seen the individuals with this chronic kidney disease in the other heavy metals toxicity or the exposure of the other heavy metals, which gives a significant percentage of the population who are exposed to this mercuric and mercuric compounds, mercuric ions and mercuric compounds. Very importantly, environmental problems, we can see the information about the relationship between the diseased kidneys and the effect of the mercuric exposure remains sparse. By considering the lack of these epidemiological studies related to this exposure of the patients with this chronic kidney disease to mercury, the current review says that mainly it focuses on the experimental studies using models of reduced renal mass and the chronic kidney disease. There is not an animal model, but perfectly which is mimicking the renal and systemic changes which occurs as a part of the chronic kidney disease. However, it is also very important to know that the decline in the functional renal mass which is going to occur in the patients with this chronic kidney disease is same as that of the experimental model in which the animals are exposed to the 50% or 75% nephrectomized. Although this particular nephrectomized rat models which are not the exact mimics of the chronic kidney disease, but you can see the similarity which is going to exist in between these particular systems. You can also see in each of this system a significant number of nephrons which are lost, and even remaining nephrons which must go through compensatory hypertrophic phase in order to maintain the normal fluid and as well as solute homeostasis, hyperfiltrations, hyperperfusions, and also increase in the level of the certain proteins which also occurs in the hypertrophied nephrons. These changes which can also leads to further in these nephrons which are being exposed to the high levels of this nephrotoxicant such as mercury, which can also enhance the susceptibility of these nephrons to the harmful effects of this mercury or other nephrotoxicants, even that is maybe cadmium or even other lead, other heavy metals. Studies also shows that 50% of this nephrectomized rats as a model of this early stage of this chronic kidney disease, which indicated that the acute renal failure was more pronounced in case of nephrectomized rats exposed to the nephrotoxic dose of the HgCl, that is mercury chloride ion, than in the corresponding particular thing sham rats which are exposed to the mercury chloride leads to the glomerular and tubular dysfunctions, which further appears to be more severe in 50% nephrectomized rats than in the sham rats. So it was found that the mercury induced proximal tubular necrosis, which was more extensive in 50% of the nephrectomized animals than in the sham animals. So additionally, the urinary excretion of this cellular enzymes and as well as the plasma proteins, which includes the lactate dehydrogenase as well as gamma glutamyl transferase and as well as albumin, which was seen to be a greater in 50% of the nephrectomized animals than in the sham animals. So the use of this 75% nephrectomized rats as a models of kidney disease, which has also shown the information that study at the later stages of the disease, the handling of this mercury in these rats, which were significantly different than that of the 50% nephrectomized rats or the sham rats. Since the glomerular filtration of these rats who are exposed at 75% of the nephrectomized rats is reduced significantly, total renal accumulation of this mercury is significantly lower than in the 50% of the nephrectomized rats. However, the accumulation of this mercury per gram kidney is significantly greater in 75% nephrectomized rats than in the shams, suggesting that the mercury uptake of this individual cells mercury uptake into the individual cells may be greater than in the remnant renal mass from the 75% nephrectomized rats or the animals than in the kidney of the sham animals. So you can make out how much lower glomerular filtration rate which we can observe in case of these rats, which were reduced significantly in case of 50% nephrectomized as well as 75% nephrectomized rats or the sham animals. So it is also notable one more information that the expression of these mRNA encoding OAT, that is organic anion transporter 1 and MRP2, which also increased in the remnant renal mass of the 75% nephrectomized rats. We can also see these things. The enhanced expression of these carriers, which can be the underlying cause of the increased uptake of this mercuric ion into the renal cells of the 75% of the nephrectomized rat, where the exposure of the 75% nephrectomized rats to the HgCl2, which leads to the renal injury, which is more extensive and severe than the corresponding sham rats, which we have seen with respect to the 50% of the nephrectomized exposure of the HgCl2. So this how we can see that particular the renal effects on the kidney cells of this particular mercuric exposure level of 75% or 52% of the mercury chloride ion in the form of mercury chloride ion, which leads to the decrease in the glomerular filtration rate, as well as we can also see the expression of this particular mRNA which encodes this OAT1 and MRP2 OAT2 also, and further leads to the renal injury and severe damage with respect to these rats, which I have taken as an experimental animal in order to explain you, in order to understand how much toxic effects can be observed with respect to this mercuric ions, which leads to the chronic kidney disease and other aspects. This completes your heavy metals toxicity with respect to kidney, and even heavy metal individual toxicity also you can explain if they ask you in the exam. Thank you. I think this will be the end of the syllabus for you people. If anything is left, please let me know. I'll give you 2 days time. If you have any doubts, please go through all the slides and informations. If you have any part left in the syllabus, please let me know. Thank you.